Hi, Justin, Right Lifestyle and Fitness here. As a former food truck and catering company owner, I get asked a lot about food and meals, how to make stuff taste good that's healthy. And so this video is going to be the first in many that I'm going to do around meals and meal prep and how to make things really simple for you for the week and even if you travel. So I think the most boring part of losing weight and eating healthy is chicken breasts. Macro wise, they're fantastic. Flavor wise, they're kind of boring. Everybody knows that. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to make them easier and taste better along the way. But first, let me show you a couple things I got out that I think are really important to make it easier for you. So my oven is on 400 degrees. It really makes the chicken have a nice browning on the outside, but it's also on convection. So the reason I have that on there is because I use a cookie cooling rack over top of a cookie sheet. And then in between, I actually have some tin foil, aluminum foil that goes on. It makes cleanup so much easier for you. So you don't have to wash this. You can throw this in your dishwasher and be happy about that. So we're gonna get some sugar and spices and everything nice out, and I will be right back. Okay, welcome back. As you can see, black glove, really important for me for putting rubs on. Means the rub sticks to the glove very little instead of your hand. Everything sticks to the chicken. One other thing to think about too as you're doing this is that at 400 degrees, sugar burns. And that means that you don't want to use rubs with sugar in them or a lot of sugar because it will just straight up burn as it cooks. Even at 300 for a little bit longer of a time, sugar can burn. And you don't want to do that because it's going to be kind of disgusting along the way. So ideally, you just want to use something like black pepper and kosher salt. Really straightforward combination. You could use pink salt, you can Himalayan salt, but if you're going to use a rub combo, you want to make sure the rub is sugar free. Even a lot of herbs at 400 degrees, like larger herbs, oregano, basil, things like that, will burn a little bit. So you kind of want to save those for your sauces after the fact. But that's neither here nor there. So we're going to get started on this chicken. I like to personally rub the chicken with salt first, because you can put a lot of salt on and you'd be surprised at how much you can put on. So you can see I'm just gonna put quite a bit of salt on here. And people get afraid of salting. If you have heart disease or have issues with that, then yeah, sure, no problem, I understand it. But for the most part, you can put a significant amount of salt on, and you can even already see it soaking in certain spots. Like there's not a lot right there, it's soaking in really well. So then on to the pepper. Again, you can put a significant amount of pepper on. Don't be afraid to use flavor in your food. Flavor is, my gosh, hyper important. It makes you want to eat it instead of having bland chicken. Ugh, bland chicken breast is horrible. It's palate wrecking, it's boring. Nobody wants that. But see, you see where the black gloves come into play. I'm not touching the chicken with anything else besides my gloved hand. Super hyper important. So you're going to flip the chicken over. You're going to just repeat the process. I personally like to have the chicken with the rib side up when you cook it. Water's going to form in here as it cooks. And so then when you flip it over the first time, that water will go away and be done and out of the chicken. But then you also can put a nice amount of salt and pepper in that little crevice that allows you to get more flavor all up in the chicken breast. So I'm going to do this, and then I don't think you need to watch me put it in the oven. That's pretty boring. So I will be back with some updates shortly. Okay, we are back. 20 minutes down. You can see the breasts are coming along nicely. The pepper's staying on really good. So you put a lot of pepper on, it stays on pretty well. You can see there's a little bit of water in where the rib meat usually is. So we're just gonna flip these over Get this side going nice and hot. Even though the oven's on convection and they're on a cookie sheet, you still want to be able to flip them over, get the water out of there so that everything cooks better. And you can see from the flip side, there's still pepper on everything. That's why you can put quite a bit of seasoning on. It'll rub off on the cookie sheet a little bit. So you leave it on. We're going to go for another 25 minutes, and then we're going to check the temperature and see where we're at. Cheers. We had a couple finish early, which is normal when you do have batch cooking, and they finished right at 165. Used my meat thermometer. I use it on every piece of chicken I cook. So I highly suggest you get one. This is a ThermoPro. There's ThermoPen, there's all kinds of other ones, but you want ones that are accurate and you can test them as you go along. The one trick that I can give you that'll make chicken stay juicy and delicious is don't let it get to 165 using a meat thermometer. There's always residual cooking. So you stick the meat thermometer in the thickest part of the center of the meat, and if that hits 165, the outside is like 180, right? And so what'll happen is you take it out, that outside starts like simmering down and cooling down, and the water starts going back in. That water's at 180. So that'll go back in and heat up the rest of the chicken. So you want to take it out at like 155 to 158. And then what I do is I put it in a Pyrex dish and tightly put the lid on. So you get those pieces of chicken in here with the lid, tight lid on when they're 155 to 158. The residual cooking takes them to 165. So you don't have to do a spot check at 165 with the chicken itself right here, right when it comes out of the oven. It needs to be, 155 to 160-ish. And then you put it in here, cover it, let it rest for about 10 minutes. It'll hit 165 on its own. It hits the safety temperature, you're solid. So those are my big tips for making chicken. I'll take a picture here in just a second of what it looks like, and we'll be done.